Hello and welcome to another edition of PaynePoints of Interest, where we talk about and answer questions relating to all things in small business. So sit back, grab your coffee, and join us as we start the discussion. I'm Sarah Harbuck, your host, and with me today is Ray Coleman. He's filling in for Michael Payne as Mike is out doing another project. Hey, Ray.
Hello, fellas.
All right, so we're going to answer a question from the same user, Subtle Divide. They asked a really great question that I thought was great in conjunction to yesterday's, and it was, what is your biggest challenge to date? I've had so much amazing feedback from my other question that I wanted to ask this one. It says, what was your biggest challenge that you faced in your business so far? Was it figuring out which business to start, gathering the courage to take the initial leap, educating yourself, or day-to-day operations? So yeah, I thought that was a great question because I feel like it works well with yesterday's, and also just you get into this habit of talking about your successes. Sometimes it's really good and inspiring to talk about what's been challenging in your life. So yeah. Ray, when you guys were starting Black Spot, what would you say from a personal perspective was your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge, I think, this is one of the ways I think this is a very useful question. The biggest challenge, I think, for any small business starting out is knowing what to do.
Yeah.
You know, when you start a small business, there's everything to do. There is the location, there's the build out, there's advertising, there's marketing, there's bills, there's budgets, there's schedules, there's salaries, there's logistics. There's like everything is laid out there, and it's overwhelming immediately. Like as soon as that open sign clicks on, you are immediately like even buying the open sign. You know, I don't know how many open signs we shop through. You know, or making a logo, how many logos we had to shop through. Like everything was overwhelming. And we had nobody there giving us, a priority list, a checklist. Like that's something we really needed, which is why I'm really excited about PaynePoints. You know, like I think that's where PaynePoints really shines is in like, okay guys, there's 1,000 things to do. Here's the 500 that you got to do this week.
Yeah.
And then we'll take the order of the next 500.
I'm trying to take out some of that guesswork or that overwhelming, oh my God, there's so much to do. It's kind of like, okay, here's where you start and you build off of that. The
danger is you start trying to do one thing and then that thing that you're trying to do takes 2 hours, but you make it last 20 hours because there's something that you know to do.
Yeah.
And so you just make that task go longer and longer and the other tasks kind of fall off the table because you're not feeling comfortable with the other tasks. Like it's very easy to do less work than you're supposed to.
Yeah.
Starting out a small business. So I think that was our biggest challenge.
It's just knowing what to tackle first.
Knowing what to tackle first and knowing the priority that these 1,000 tasks have to be tackled, because it's, if you don't have, if you don't know your clients, you're not ready for marketing, that sort of thing.
Yeah. I think that's a great point because that's that's where everybody starts. Is it just unless you're like a Type A personality where you have just planned and you've got this great business plan and you've outlined everything, and of course real life takes over.
Yeah, it's like even then, I think even when you're ready for it, when you have your business plan, if you haven't done it before, I don't think you're really ready. Like you're gonna still hit 5 million problems that you didn't think about in those 1,000 tasks. And it's going to be very difficult.
Really, when creating your small business, experience is just the best teacher. You can have people tell you and prepare you, and you can have all the lists and the outlines ready, but sometimes real life takes over, and it's just not what you initially thought. Now, once you get over some of those initial startup hurdles and you're ticking along, I feel like one of the biggest challenges for most businesses is exposure, getting your name out there, and just really establishing a foothold. Because they say, what is it? If it takes 2 to 3 years for a business to really get established, or is it 5 years now?
I think 2 to 3 years is probably for a brick and mortar.
Yeah, to really get established and get a good name recognition out there, and to really get your customer base set up. And so getting that exposure. And in today's world, I think it's probably a little easier than it used to be when you have the internet to advertise on, social media, websites, and things like that. But I feel like anytime you're starting any kind of business, getting that initial chatter going about what you're doing. I know with Standpipe, when we started it, even before we even opened the doors, we were still in the middle of construction. I went up there and started taking pictures of the process and putting them on Facebook and saying, "Hey guys, look what we're doing. Stay tuned for summer of 2011.
Right.
This is. I'm trying to get people excited.
And to get that buzz going.
Yeah. So I feel like if you can plan it out that way and your life works out and you've got a team of people, because it wasn't just me and Ben, there were a bunch of people that were working on Standpipe when we were getting it going. I mean, really, it's hard to do any of that stuff by yourself as one person. If you have a team helping you, you can do stuff like that, take pictures and start a buzz on social media. And I feel like that, I personally like to think that contributed to the success of it right away. I mean, it was busy from the day we opened almost, it seemed like. Obviously, we hit snags and obstacles and didn't use our money wisely in certain areas and realized very soon that, we've got too much overhead and we shouldn't have done this right away. We should have eased into this, things like adding food. In those early days, we had food, sandwiches and wraps and baked goods. And really, when you're starting a business, you want to start out with, I think the least amount of overhead you can get away with.
Yeah.
And we learned that lesson the hard way and had to overcome some issues there. But I think that once, you figure those things out, it makes it a little easier. But even when you go on to start another business, you were with us with Standpipe for some of that, there after we bought it and, bought it outright from some of our other partners. Even when starting the tattoo shop, though, there's a whole learning curve that went along with that.
Yeah, the learning curve there was almost as steep as Standpipe.
Yeah. And every business is going to have its challenges, and they're going to be very specific to that business and the people running the business.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you get into it knowing what a lot of those challenges are. Like, you need storage for a coffee shop. You need someplace to store your stuff, but you don't think about securing your storage.
Yeah.
And so
little things like that.
Yeah, it's like you said. So, do we have a lock for this cabinet? I mean, like shit like that.
Yeah. It's really crazy the little things you don't initially think about until you're in the middle of it, and it's like you said, how do you secure these products, or how do you store it?
You're selling sandwiches in a package. Well, what is the ingredient list on the side of the package?
Yeah.
Like stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. All these little bitty minutia details. But I would say that for us in any business we've started.
You paid your tax. Have you paid your city taxes?
Yeah. Property taxes.
The
lining
all of that little stuff out, I think, is a big challenge. I think lining those tasks out is as big a challenge as securing funding.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are the two big challenges starting to be securing funding and knowing what to do. I think they're equal. You would think that the biggest challenge is securing funding. And actually, that is probably the part that's the most nagging, but
probably easier than just about anything else.
It's easier than everything else.
If you've got investors or pretty decent credit, you can get the money pretty easily.
Yeah.
Or grab a credit card. I mean, not the best way to go, but if you're desperate, and
money is gonna find you when you need it. A lot of the times, if your idea is good. So when planning a small business, that's one of the things that I would say look for second. Have a good plan first, and then think about how you're going to fund it.
Yeah, definitely. Megan, any thoughts from you as a young person starting your own business? What was your biggest challenge?
I think that you need to be consistent in terms of how you're promoting yourself. I think my biggest regret is not getting business cards right off the bat, because I have been putting those around town and in different local businesses, and whenever I check on them to see, if anybody's taken any, I mean, almost always I have several missing. Not that I count, but it's that kind of thing of if I meet someone on the street, my mentor even, he was like, you need to get business cards immediately because you never know who you'll meet. And that's very true, is you never know who you're going to meet, so you need to have business cards. You need to be posting
You need to be ready to market yourself all the time.
Yes, and so posting consistently on social media. Of course, I started my own business while I was still working another job. You need to make sure that you have the mental capacity to do that.
Yeah.
Because the other job that I had was very mentally draining, very physically draining. Set time aside to work on it. That's a big thing. You need to set time aside for it. You need to market yourself properly. You kind of always need to be ready to talk about what you're doing and to listen to what other people are doing as well. It has to be a two-way conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great way to end this particular episode. Guys, thanks for tuning in. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to add to today's discussion, we'd love to hear your feedback. If you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, or you want to give a topic for us to discuss, you can find us on our website at PaynePoints.com, Facebook and LinkedIn at PaynePoints, Instagram at Payne.points, and Twitter at PointsPayne. You can now call us or text us at 855-PAYNEPT. That's 855-729-6378. All right, well, we hope everybody has a great day. Now it's time to go do the real work. Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye, guys.
Goodbye.